at that time, the gas cap was plugged. So this thing's first run of the computer was on a plow. Welcome to another video. In today's video, it's my backhoe in relation to Pepa machinery. And that's because they just charged me $1,000 for pressure washing. Okay? Now look at this video here that I took right after the job was done, because it has been a while. I've been busy, needless to say. There's just grease everywhere. Okay, so they charged me $1,000 for that, right? I got it there, and I got no way to, I don't have a grease pit out here, so when I take it in there to get it changed, I've always had them just blast it off for me. It never cost $1,000 or anywhere close. Okay, I don't know, but there's some stuff going on at the Bend branch that we're going to talk about. So first I have to kind of add some information, some context, so we really know what's going on, right? So I got this property out here, right? Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I got it in September, and immediately, like in December, so a couple months later, I cut down a bunch, like a whole trailer load full of junipers, and drove them to Portland because I think there was a Christmas tree shortage or something like that, and I took them to a buddy, and he didn't do anything with them. And the reason why I say this is because this field over here, there's a full acre that I cleared and flattened and made perfect later on, after I cut those junipers down. Okay, now I was over there, and or actually before this happened, this right here, so the sewage treatment plant, I was actually digging it right here. Okay, so I'm digging. The backhoe's acting up. I call Pepa Machinery, and they're like, it was some woman, and she's like, smack the black box computer thing, like Fonzie, basically, a computer up here, like right around here someplace, right? And I was like, huh? Okay. So now every time the backhoe has a problem, I'm smacking that thing. Okay. Now it's got that problem, and now I'm clearing this field over here, right? Over there is a few of these trees that I cut down, ranging from about like that to maybe, like this, like Christmas tree size trees, right? Well, I'm in second clearing that field over there and hit one of those stumps that was tiny, right? And something just made crazy noise underneath in there. But I just kept running it and running it and running it, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And I was like, man, I didn't really know what I was going to do, right? And so now it's got the problem with the computer, and what turns out to be it's an axle. I actually had somebody come out here, and I'm like pushing snow, and the thing's just like grinding, and it's just like I just have to clear the road. So I just maybe even did one of those things where you did more damage than originally if I just would have taken it and got it fixed right when it made the original noise. I have no idea. It was insanely expensive. $14,000 or $15,000 on that trip to Pepa Machinery. Now, on that trip, this was one of the things that was supposed to get taken care of. So it was like computers, and that one computer turned into two computers and an axle right? So it's getting close to done. I call up and I specifically ask about this because it's just draining when I'm using this thing. And at this point, or at that point, I was still trying to be an organic farm, this whole thing. So I didn't want to be leaking hydraulic fluid around, right? And I had, so I called and that was on the list. But then when it was done, I said, "Did you get that part done?" She said yes. I come pick. Oh no, I didn't have a trailer at that point. It was $700 just to get it there and back on a semi truck, right? So now it's back, and they didn't do that. And I'm just like, rah, yeah, I called you, because it's like, I'm like, how am I gonna? What? Now I gotta spend another $700 to get it back to him. Well, they sent out a technician. Okay. He was cool. I was like, I don't know anything about this stuff, but if you need me to hold something, a hand, whatever, I'll do that. He said, yeah, I'll hold this. Then I did, and we got it done, and everything was great. I don't even think they charged me, which I had just given them $15,000. So now I had the fire, okay, and the backhoe got a bunch of damage, I think, to the hydraulic lines in the fire. I needed to get a trailer just so I could haul the backhoe to the shop and not pay $700 every time I needed to take it to the shop, right? So I got a trailer after the fire, and I took the backhoe in, and they cleaned it up, made it all nice. And I think the woman thought that I wanted to sell it because she had like a sales guy there. And I'm like, I don't want to sell it, And I got whatever work I got done right there, thousands of dollars worth of work, okay? Now, I get it back and use it for a year. And then I take it in for its yearly, okay? And I take it in, and the gas cap, I ask them, okay, so what it was is the gas cap was always like sealed on there, like with a vacuum. It was like vacuumed on. So I asked them, is that the way it's supposed to be, right? And they're like, no. And what they did was they put a whole new gas cap. They didn't just clean out the filter or whatever, the inlet or whatever. No, a whole new cap. Okay. So they do like an oil change. They get a new cap. I get the thing back and it starts running like shit, right? And I'm like, what the fuck, What? I'm not a mechanic. So the first thing I think is they did something with the gas cap, and it had rained while it was there. So what I'm thinking is they took the gas cap off, and then they just left it, and it rained in there, and now it's running like shit. That's what I'm thinking, right? So I call, and this guy answers phone. I'm like, hey, I just had my backhoe in there for, oil change, and it is just running. And the first thing this dude starts doing is like accusing me of lying. That's like not anything, just immediately starts, oh yeah, guys will bring them in here, immediately just calling me a liar. And so I jumped down his fucking punk ass with both barrels, okay? And you know what? They came out here, two guys, the same guy that changed the cylinder, him and another guy, right? And they drained the whole fuel and they did all this, and it seemed like it worked for a second, but then it just started going bad again. Okay, so I haul all the way back to them again, right? And they can't figure it out. Finally, the guy just has to just let it sit and run for like hours in the baking sun to get it to do what it's been doing, okay? Which is just running like crazy crap. Like, I start running, I start doing work, and then the machine just stops working, right? Right? And it never did that before. I've spent, at that point, probably about $20,000 in that place, and this dude wants to start calling me a liar, right? Okay, so they change, so I get back to him. Okay, so guess what the problem was? The computer's firmware. Well, it's taken me this long, this is years ago, to figure out, and I might not even be right, but I think I figured it out. When they changed that fucking cap, well, hold on, go back. They changed the computer. They put a brand new computer in here. Now, my guess is when you put a brand new computer in there, when it first goes through, it pulls all the sensors, makes determinations on those sensors, and sets values for stuff on how the motor's going to run. That's my guess, okay? And at that time, the gas cap was plugged. So this thing's first run of the computer was on a plug. So when they changed it, the cap, that changed this because a firmware update or firmware something, not update or re-firmwaring or whatever, I can't remember specifically, but that it was firmware something in the computer, which they installed the computer, charged me for that. They installed the gas cap, charged me for that. Then they charged me to put the firmware again. Okay, now, not only do they charge me for a firmware, but now when I go in there, like there's a new woman that works in there, right? And I'll be going, and she'll be tapping on somebody's shoulder and pointing at me and then running over to somebody else and tapping on their shoulder and pointing at me. And I'm sure that it's like, oh, that's the guy that yelled at the boss or whatever. Yeah, I yelled at your boss because he called me a liar. And he was wrong. It was your guys' fuck up, okay? And then, this is probably a fuck you and how I ended up with a $1,000 pressure washing job. I think that's more of a continuation from all this back. Oh, we sent those guys up there and it wasn't that, it was the firmware. Yeah, the firmware that probably got messed up when you changed the caps. I'm not a mechanic, but I bet I'm right. And you charge me for that. So this Bend Pepe machinery is got some just POS that just accuse people of trying to steal from them that have spent, I think at this point I'm close to like maybe $40,000 in that shop. And somebody's going to accuse me of this. Now they're going to pull this kind of jackass maneuver with charging me $1,000 for a pressure washing. And look at this thing here. Oh, this piece of plastic right here. Now, this is not the first one of these pieces of plastics that I've bought. Okay, these are these seals here, right? Well, if you look at this one here, and then you look at this, it's not the right one. Okay, so they swapped out for a aftermarket that isn't even the right size, like it's not long enough. How much for this little piece of plastic right here? Well, it came in a 2-pack for over $120. So that's a $60 piece of plastic right there. And it's not even OEM. So they're probably getting some generic and just jacking it up to over what OEM is. And now I think this is just one of these companies that it's got no issue. They just jack up all their prices because that's what all the companies are doing right now. Oh, it's inflation. It's inflation. No, it's not inflation. It's corporate greed of people like Pepe Machinery charging $1,000 for a pressure washing job, $60 for a piece of plastic, just because there is that loom out. Oh, it could just be inflation. Yeah, right. I guarantee they got this part for like $5, maybe not even, right? So yeah, and you know, it all started, and I had already spent $25,000 at that place before that absolute turd of a human accused me of stealing. Okay, this is how they treat somebody that spent like $35, and now I go in there and they do this $1,000 Yeah, if that isn't a fuck you, you please leave in the comments section what is a fuck you. $1,000 pressure washing? Are you kidding me? $1,000 to pressure wash off the joints? You know, and they left it just filthy. There's grease, I mean, all over the place. The thing is just filthy. So, yeah, it's always just that one person, right? That just thinks they're so smart. Like, oh yeah, this guy is lying to me. Yeah. So anyway, Pepe Machinery of Bend, peace.
Thank you for watching my